Hey, everybody. So, such a blessing to be here. Thank you guys for having me. It's really beautiful to see what is happening here, to be together with all these beautiful hearts. So, what I want to do right now is give you guys a little bit of information about the work that I do and some of the pieces that I brought. So, the way that I paint tends to be a kind of slow unfolding process. Like a lot of times I'll do a work over the course of a weekend or over the course of months or years. So to paint on stage like this can be a little bit different, and I'm gonna do my best not to. If I would like to paint fast, I'd like to really throw some paint around like that. But I'm not. Well, you can see I kind of did that already, but yeah, I started this one with a very ordered grid, and then it took a lot of like willpower for me to allow myself to throw some paint on it because it was so careful before that. So what I want to do is tell you a little bit about where I'm going with this piece. And as you can see, it is this narwhal. And the symbolism of the narwhal is very special to me. It's an animal that I consider to be one of my spirit animals. And one of my favorite metaphors with the narwhal is it is one of the deepest diving whales. And they do so up in the Arctic. So they live in this really cold, unexplored ocean. Really, I would consider to be one of the frontiers in terms of human exploration on this earth. And they find their food way underneath the water, sometimes thousands of feet below the water, where it's very dark. And I believe that they use their tusks as this sort of antenna or homing device to actually sense the changes in water temperature, like different vibrations in the water, changes in the salinity of the water, and kind of to find their way down into those mysterious depths. And what I consider this metaphor to mean for us as human beings on the earth is this idea of diving down deep below the surface into the unknown, into the mystery. And it is there that you will find your treasure. And you're a mammal. You must come up and breathe the air. So it's this idea of like really diving down below the surface and into the unknown, into the darkness, but also to always remembering to come back up and breathe the air. So that's one of the things that's going on with this narwhal. The other thing is that the narwhal is the sustenance for the Inuit people. So they survive almost entirely off of eating narwhal. So I consider that metaphor to be the nourishment of the people. So for me, having this creature, having this animal as one of my spirit animals, and how I translate that is to like take it upon myself to be in the work of nourishing the people by creating beauty, by creating love, and by telling stories. So that's what I'm here to do. In addition to that, there's also this idea of the magic and the mystery. The narwhal is actually where the myth of the unicorn came from. Explorers brought back narwhal tusks, and they fabricated the story. So in fact, it was the narwhal, the original unicorn, that created this. So there's this connection with mythology, magic, mystery, the unknown, diving deep below the surface into the mystery. This one, in addition to that, is a current story of where I'm at in my life, which is on that side is my current life, which is living in Santa Monica, by the ocean. We have this cool, pretty cushy spot by the beach there, but we're surrounded by so much chaos and intensity with the city life. And so I'm going for this idea of like these neon colors, but also like the beautiful blue of the ocean and the sky and the sunset. But the grid comes from the grid of the concrete jungle, grid of the city. And so what that narwhal is doing is escaping from that grid and going through this kind of like these grayscale blocks of the unknown, the mysterious, and into the darkness, which is beyond that. But also, as he goes from the edges of that known box into the unknown, there's the bursting forth of the Sri Yantra being the creation pattern. And so that's the union of the masculine and feminine. It's Shiva and Shakti. It is you could do a whole book, a whole lifetime of information about that specific pattern right there. But to me, what it means is diving into this unknown and beautiful creation. So me and my wife are buying land up north, and we're creating something that actually is kind of similar to the vision that you guys have created here. We found this beautiful, amazing land with a creek flowing through it, a natural meadow, just all this gorgeous space. So we want to invite people out there, have arts and healing events and things like that going on there. But in between us and that, there's all this like mysterious, kind of challenging, unknown stuff that we need to move through to get there. So that's the backstory with this painting. Thank you. Thank you, I appreciate that. So I want to tell you guys about a couple other things, and then I know it's intermission time, so we're going to go take a break. So this is my book, The Love Attraction Manual. It is a manual for manifesting your future in the present time, creating the future in the present time. And it's a journal, so it has guidelines and it has concepts for you to look at, but it's also it's open for a person to fill out with, as I said, creating their future in the present time. And the reason why I created this is because the stuff that happened to me after I started doing these things, embodying these principles, is quite remarkable. So I'm going to tell you guys just a little bit about how that story looked. I was living by myself in this pretty beautiful place in Vail, Colorado, but I was kind of high and dry up in the Rocky Mountains, and I knew I was looking for love. I wanted to fall in love and meet the one person who I was going to get married to and create a family with. And there was kind of this idea that like I probably wouldn't meet her where I was because I was up in a ski town. I don't know how much you guys know about ski towns, but the ratio of males to females there is often about like 7-1 or so. Not in the way that I would like it. And I shouldn't use that as an excuse, but I also felt like just the vibe of the people that were up there was not exactly like where I was going to find this person. In addition to that, it was very dry up there. Like it's high desert, and I felt like I was really calling in the water element, and we can refer to that as the feminine, but also like the literal water element. I want to live by the water in somewhere. So I was manifesting that, and one of the things that I imagined with that is that as soon as I met her, I would know that it was her, and she would feel the same way about me. In addition to that, I was manifesting something else, because I was tired of paying rent. I was like, you know what? I've had enough, like I'm spending so much money on rent, I'm just sick of it. So I was going to manifest a place that was in an international art hub on the west coast of the United States, somewhere that's nice and warm and is on the beach and also has accessible skiing and mountain biking, so it's kind of surrounded by mountains. And I don't want to pay rent. That was my idea. And I was kind of like, whatever, I'm just going to ask for this and see. Because I'd been paying rent my whole adult life, and I was kind of used to that. So I put those things out there, and I went about my life. I kept doing the tactics, the techniques that I talk about in my book, and that you can find in many other places that provide such information. And life went on, and I met lots of beautiful people, and none of them was quite the person that I was looking for, and I continued onwards. And so eventually, maybe about a year or so after I started doing that, this amazing thing happened, which was that I I went to this party, and I had kind of gotten tired of dancing, so I came out into this party bus, and my friend who's a Kiwi cowboy handed me a handful of mushrooms, and I was like, awesome. Thank you. And so I ate the mushrooms, and I sat there, and I was just kind of enjoying my time, like looking around, and then sitting on this party bus. And then this really cute dog walked onto the bus, and following the cute dog was a really beautiful woman. And they sat down across from me, and it was literally like exactly what I had imagined. I looked into her eyes, and she looked into my eyes, and I was just like, oh, wow, okay. Here you are. And so we sat down and we started talking, and we had a lot in common, and we immediately got into our astrological birth charts. I'm like, okay, checks out. Both have Taurus moon, which is very auspicious together. And following that, and I had just eaten a handful of mushrooms. So I was like, we were having this great conversation and just really feeling into each other and feeling like the feeling was mutual. And I was like, I better let her know that I like her before these mushrooms really kick in. And so I did. and yeah, and then they kicked in, and we had a great time. It was all good, and following that, we just started making plans for our future together that night, because it was that clear. It was like, oh, I've been looking for you, you've been looking for me, here we are together. What are we going to do next? And so then following that, we started making plans, and she was like, oh yeah, my grandparents have a place in Santa Monica, and we can just go live there. I was like, no way. Let's do that. And so we got married on the beach in Santa Monica, and we live in this cute little apartment down by the beach. We have an amazingly sweet little daughter named Coral, who was born in the water at home and by the water. And so they're both water sign females. Emily's a Cancer and Coral's a Pisces. And we're living right by the water there. So I really, I called in the water element very effectively there. And so the reason why I'm telling you this story, and I know I'm a little bit preaching to the choir here, but it's to understand the remarkable powers of our manifestation. And mushrooms. Well, they go right together. I mean, they're really like... And you know, another thing that you can do with the mushrooms is you can ask them questions, and you can even ask them to like help you out with things. So that's going to be for a different speech. I know I have limited time here. I'm not going to go too deeply into that, but you can ask them questions, and they will tell you the answers. So, how much time do I have? One more hour.
Justin can start setting up.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
If you don't want to hear him talk, how about that?
Yeah, that's fair. So.
You're all free to do whatever you want.
Cool. So. Cool. Well, come on up if you need to set that up. It's mushroom time. I'll tell you guys that really quick mushroom story. So, different one, yeah. Yeah, so I think you got the message of that story, which is that you really can create your future in the present time, and it's all about like just getting clear about exactly what it is that you're creating, and then getting in alignment with the vibration of the person who would create that thing. So like if your desire is to meet somebody, it really doesn't make sense to be at home all the time, right? If your desire is to, I don't know, like give speeches, it really doesn't make sense to not talk to anybody ever. This is funny that I'm even doing this right now because I didn't know I was going to be up here doing this. But yesterday I had this human design reading, and she was like, "Oh yeah, you're a storyteller. You need to get up in front of people and tell stories." And that's thanks to my friend here, Ignacio, because he's been encouraging me with that as well, and also who brought me out here. So, so the quick mushroom story before I go. So, are you guys familiar with the heroic dose, the five dried grams in silent darkness?
You should hold this while you tell the story.
Can I? Thank you. It's that time of night, everybody. It looks like a little bit more than 5 grams. I don't know. I'm not a scale. Actually, I'm Libra. That's my crossover niche. So I decided to do that. I didn't have a scale, so I had 14 grams of mushrooms, and I was like, all right, I'm just going to roughly cut this in half just to make sure I'm taking enough mushrooms right now. And I definitely took enough mushrooms. There was no doubt about that. I'd had these it was 2 tacos worth of mushrooms. And they were good. I put some vegetables on there. Sweet potatoes, all that went smoothly. And what I did in preparation for that was I got clear about the questions that I wanted to ask. And one of the questions that I asked the mushrooms was, so if I were to honor the spirit of the mushrooms with a single drawing, what would it look like? And so mushroom trip starts to happen. I leave my body for like 4 to 6 hours, time traveling, going through all these wild experiences of visiting my artistic mentors from past, present, and future, and receiving nuggets of wisdom from them. And all of a sudden, really clearly, I get to the answer to my question, because I was like, oh wait, what about my question? And the mushrooms gave me a 1-sentence answer, and it was this. So how do I honor the spirit of the mushrooms with a single drawing? And they said this: it's all one line. I was like, all right, that's very clear. So what I did was I made this drawing of Leonardo da Vinci. So it's a portrait of him, and it's made up entirely out of mushrooms, and it's made without ever picking up my pen from the paper. I'll show it to you. Yeah. I keep getting copies, and they always sell really fast, so that's cool. Totally fine with that. So I should get more, I guess. But so what I do have for you guys, though, is I have some little art gifts. Oh, what's going on here? It is a mushroom. How did you know? Is that me making that noise? No, that's you. Okay. So I have some art stickers for everybody. I have 4 options for you. One of them is mushrooms. This one, so I'm going to pass these around so you can see them, but this here is the giraffe. And the medicine of the giraffe is to be able to observe the elevated perspective while keeping your feet on the ground. So this is a really powerful medicine to have, especially if you're doing experiments with that amount of mushrooms. Head way up in the clouds, feet on the ground. This one, I actually do have the original. This one over there. it's the tetrahedron, fire element, and psilocybin mushrooms. So I consider that to be the spark of creation, and also the spark that initiates the illumination, the opening of new layers, new levels of consciousness. That's how the fire element and also the tetrahedron and the psilocybin mushrooms are linked together in my mind. I have also the hummingbird. I'm gonna just hold this farther away from me so that I have also the hummingbird. And the message of this hummingbird is, why is it doing that?
I think it might be interfering with, is it quiet or something? Or maybe if you step over
Can you guys hear me?
Let me turn this one off. Go ahead. Try that.
step to the side a little bit.
Okay. Can you hear me now? All right, perfect.
Start over.
All right. So mushroom tacos. So this other one I have is called the hummingbird heart. And so the message of this hummingbird is simultaneously this lightness, the lightness of being, living joyfully, living light, but also being able to stay fierce and to defend your boundaries. Because the hummingbirds are very, they're these tiny, fragile little creatures, but they're also vicious. So the other thing is being able to travel swiftly and directly in the direction of your nectar. So whatever it is that you truly desire, keeping your eyes focused on that and not messing around with all this back and forth, like whoosh, zip, like that. Swift and direct. And finally, this one here, I'm going to pass them around so you guys can actually look at them. But this is called the Octopus Queen, Illuminating the Secrets of the Universe. And so this is from an ayahuasca vision where, once again, I had asked the psychedelics, like, what art shall I make now? This is kind of a reoccurring theme in my life. And may it continue, praise Jah. And so during this ayahuasca ceremony, the shaman appeared to me in the form of an octopus queen. So she was holding the sacred geometric lantern with laser beams from her tentacles. And the sacred geometric lantern is rotating, revealing the forms of the platonic solids, illuminated from the center. So there's like a Merkaba light in the center, illuminating outwards this lantern. And the lantern's just spinning and spinning. She's holding it from laser beams. And what she's saying is, hey, look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this. And so the message for me was that the thing that you're here to create are these sacred geometric patterns and nature geometry, right? So finally, the other message of the octopus is being able to stay grounded within the water element. Water element representing feelings, emotions, intuitions, and our earth element being more like the physicality, being in your body, feeling your sensations. So being able to move through that water element with that type of groundedness is a very powerful tool, especially if you're one who has a lot of water in your chart and you feel like perhaps you're an empath, you're feeling stuff so intensely, so deeply. So that's the magic of the Octopus Queen. You guys, I would all like for you to choose which one of these stickers and take them home with you. What's that? Only one, yes. I do have packs of them for sale, so if you want to get more of them, you're welcome to do that. And then other than that, I have copies of my book as well, so if anybody is interested in that, please come on up and visit me. I have many more stories, but look, we got more to do this evening, so thank you so much for listening. I appreciate you guys so much.